I caught my boyfriend of 5 years mocking my weight to his friends on Xbox Live, so I signed him up for a couple's cooking class and let him walk in alone while I went on a date with someone he used to idolize. I'm Taylor, 27, female, and until a month ago, I thought I was in a stable, if slightly boring, relationship with my boyfriend, Mark, 28. We'd been together 5 years. Not every moment is fireworks kind of love, but more like we make sense. We met in college, moved in together after graduation, and quietly built a life. Same groceries, same shows, same bed, same future, or so I thought. Mark wasn't the kind of guy who planned surprises. He wasn't emotionally expressive or affectionate in public, but he made the coffee every morning, picked me up from work when it rained, laughed at my corny Pinterest recipes, and kissed me on the forehead while I cursed at Wordle. I loved him in that way you love comfort. Soft, familiar, slow-growing. He's a software engineer, big on logic, light on empathy, always been a facts over feelings kind of guy, which worked, mostly, until it didn't. The thing is, I've always been a little self-conscious about my weight. I'm not thin. I've never been thin. I'm a size 14, sometimes 16, depending on the store. I used to be thinner, sure, but life has been life. My weight's fluctuated a bit over the years, like most people's, but Mark never made it a thing, or I thought he didn't. Until last Friday. He was playing Xbox in the living room, headset on, in his usual gamer cocoon. I was in the bedroom folding laundry when I heard my name, followed by laughter. It wasn't the cute kind. It was mean, cruel, and it stopped me cold. So I stood just outside the door, completely still, hard in my throat. I couldn't see his screen, but I could hear everything. She's like, not huge, but you know, he said, voice dripping with fake sympathy. She's comfortable, bro, like built for cuddles, if cuddles came with a side of diabetes. The guys on the other end howled. One said, damn, Mark, you feeding her or inflating her? And then Mark, my Mark, added, hey, she makes these baked mac and cheese casseroles that'll give you high cholesterol and a nap. It's like dating a food coma. I stood there, frozen. Socks clenched in my hand, brain screaming while my body just shut down. He didn't know I was listening. He wasn't saying it to hurt me, which somehow made it worse. It meant that's just what he thought. That's who I was to him. A punchline. A joke between buddies. The same body he held at night. The one he called beautiful when I'd cry over dressing room mirrors. He was mocking it like it was something grotesque. When he finally noticed me standing there, I was so numb I couldn't even cry. Just stared at him. His face fell immediately. He yanked the headset off and said my name like a question. Tay? But I just turned and walked to the bathroom, locked the door, sat on the toilet lid, and let myself feel it. Every pound of shame, every bite of rage, every whisper of betrayal. It wasn't just what he said. It was that he could say it after everything. After 5 years of thinking I was safe. That night, I didn't yell. I didn't cry in front of him. I didn't even sleep in the bed. I started planning, and he had no idea what was coming. The next morning, I acted normal. I made coffee, just like always, measured out the scoops like muscle memory, sat across from him at the kitchen table while he awkwardly sipped his mug, eyes darting everywhere but mine. I could feel him waiting for the explosion. He thought I was a ticking bomb, but I wasn't. Not yet. Instead, I asked if he still wanted to try that couple's cooking class I'd mentioned weeks ago, the one he rolled his eyes at because learning to cook together sounds like a BuzzFeed trap. He blinked like I'd spoken a different language. Sure, he said, cautious, like I'd offered him tea laced with cyanide. You still want to do that? I nodded and smiled. Yeah, could be fun, because here's the thing. Mark used to idolize my friend Jace. Jace, 29, used to date my best friend Emily, and for a while he was a fixture at our game nights. Tall, funny, works in VR game dev, casually jacked like a Marvel extra, and actually genuinely nice. Mark used to quote him, imitate his jokes, ask me if I thought Jace was cool. Man, if I had that dude's confidence, he once said, after Jace taught Bella, our cat, how to high five. Jace and Emily broke up 2 years ago, amicably. She moved to Chicago, he stayed. We kept in touch on Instagram but hadn't talked much since, until now. I DM'd him that night, asked if he wanted to grab a drink sometime. He responded in 10 minutes with, damn, you just made my week. Yes, the timing was perfect. The cooking class was scheduled for Saturday at 6 p.m. I made sure to book it under Mark's name, used his email, his card. I told him we'd meet there. I might be running late from yoga. I don't do yoga. Saturday rolled around, and I dressed for war. Black jumpsuit, soft red lip, gold hoops, the good perfume. Jace picked me up right on time, looking like a fever dream in leather and denim. He smiled when he saw me and said, damn, so this is what Mark fumbled? I laughed, and it wasn't fake. It felt real, like the air wasn't so heavy anymore. Meanwhile, Mark was at a couple's cooking class, alone. wearing the matching aprons I had custom printed with whisk takers, because I'm petty like that. I knew he'd be surrounded by couples feeding each other sautéed mushrooms while he stirred a risotto solo, confused and panicking. No escape but garlic and shame. Jace and I, meanwhile, had drinks, sushi, and shared old stories about game nights and how Mark used to call him a god-tier dude. I didn't even have to mention what happened. Jace just said, "Some men think having a good woman means she'll never leave, even if they become the worst version of themselves." I checked my phone around 6:45. 5 missed calls, 2 texts. "Where are you? You said you'd meet me here. Did you forget?" I didn't reply. At 7:10 he sent, "Are you seriously doing this right now?" Yes. Yes, I was. When I got home that night, Mark was already there, apron stuffed in a grocery bag on the counter, face red like he'd just run a marathon through embarrassment. "You said you were coming," he snapped the second I walked in. "I waited for over an hour, Taylor." An hour. Surrounded by couples trying to make chocolate fondue and asking me where my partner was like I was a fucking widower. I closed the door gently, set my keys down. "Sorry, I was busy." He blinked. "Busy? With what?" "Dinner." I took off my earrings one by one, calm, slow, with Jace. That silenced him. I walked past him to the bedroom and started unzipping my jumpsuit like we weren't about to have our first real war in 5 years. "You're joking," he said from the hallway, voice dropping. "You're seriously saying you ditched me to go out with Jace?" I turned. "Yeah. Remember him? Your man crush back in 2019? His jaw clenched. "That's not funny." "No," I said, looking him dead in the eyes. "It's not." Then I went to shower, left him standing in the doorway like an unplugged robot. The next day, I woke up to a different man. Mark was trying. He made breakfast, played our playlist, even asked if I wanted to rewatch The Office, which he knows I only pretend to enjoy. "I think we've been drifting," he said over eggs, "and I've been a dick. I want to fix this." "Do you?" I asked, still chewing. "Or do you just want things to go back to when you could laugh about me behind my back without consequences?" He shut down immediately. By that night, he was passive-aggressive again, pacing, checking his phone, muttering under his breath. And then, at 11:47 p.m., I heard it. The unmistakable click of his headset, Xbox boot up. He went right back into the party chat with the guys who'd laughed at my body 2 nights ago. I stayed in bed, jaw clenched, listening. And then, as if he had no concept of self-preservation, I heard him say it. "She's being weird now. Like, cold. I don't even know why. Women, man." They laughed. Again, and my stomach turned all over again. So I did something I'd never done in our whole relationship. I walked into the living room, phone out, and said loudly, "Hey, Mark." He looked up, startled. I hit record. "Just wanted to make sure all your friends could hear this part too," I said, my voice calm and ice-cutting. "You can all tell your little jokes now, but I heard what you said the other night, about my weight, about my food, about me." He went sheet white. I kept going. "You've made jokes, I made plans, and I'm just getting started." I ended the recording, walked away, and I swear, the silence behind me was louder than any scream he could have managed. The fallout started almost immediately. The next morning, I posted that clip. Not on my main page, just close friends on Instagram. Just enough people to feel the ripple. Friends who knew us. Friends who loved us. Who'd posted hashtag couple goals under our beach pics and asked when we were getting engaged. And now they were watching him sit there slack-jawed while I called out his cruelty in real time. The video wasn't long. Just me, stepping into frame and saying, "Hey Mark, just wanted to make sure all your friends could hear this part too." I didn't name him. I didn't have to. The DMs started rolling in by lunch. One from our mutual friend Jess. "Taylor, holy hell, I'm so sorry. I had no idea he talked about you like that." Another from his old college roommate. "That's messed up. I always thought Mark worshipped you. Guess he's just another fragile man hiding behind a console." I didn't respond to any of them. Mark did, though. He saw the story, of course. The second it went live, I heard him shout, "What the fuck?" from the kitchen. He came storming into the bedroom with his phone in hand, waving it like a warrant. "Are you serious right now? You posted that? I didn't even look up. You humiliated me to your friends. I'm just returning the favor to mine." He started pacing, voice rising. "That's different. That was private." "No, it wasn't. You were on a public mic talking trash about the person you live with. That's not private. That's just lazy." He threw his hands up. "You're trying to ruin my life over a joke?" That word, joke. Like I hadn't cried in the dark 2 nights ago. Like my body hadn't gone rigid with shame hearing him dissect it like a roast. "Don't worry," I said, grabbing my purse. "I'm not trying to ruin your life, just your dinner plans." Because guess what? I'd booked us a second couples cooking class. And this time I invited someone else. Update 1. Okay? Wow. So first of all, Reddit, y'all are unhinged in the best way. I posted that clip thinking maybe 5 people would message me. I didn't expect my dentist's receptionist to text me, "Girl, is that your Mark?" Like, ma'am, how do you even know my Instagram handle? Also, to the person who DM'd me, sign him up for a weightlifting class with Jason, film it. You're diabolical, and I love you. You get me. I wasn't going to post again. I really wasn't. But then Mark did something so staggeringly pathetic, I had to share what came next. So here's what happened since that post went semi-viral. In our little circle anyway. After the video, Mark went full PR mode. He started texting people things like, "She edited it to make me look bad," or "We were just joking around. She's blowing it out of proportion." The usual weak man scramble. But here's the twist. His own friends started turning on him. Apparently one of the guys in that Xbox party, Jake, who always struck me as less toxic than the others, saw the video and messaged me, apologizing. Said he didn't realize I was in the house when it happened and that Mark's always been weirdly obsessed with appearances. Then he added this. He's joked about your body before. Not just once. I should have said something. I'm sorry. And I just sat there, phone in hand, feeling that weird mix of heartbreak and vindication. Like, so it wasn't a one-time thing. It was a pattern, a whole damn personality trait. So yeah, my heart hurt. But also, I felt lighter. And here's where it gets good. Remember that second couple's cooking class? I didn't cancel it. I changed the name on the reservation to Taylor and Guest. And guess who my guest was? Jace. Again. But this time, we didn't sneak off to a bar. This time, we showed up, hand in hand. Mark was already there, apron on, fidgeting by the welcome counter, scanning the room. I saw the exact second his eyes landed on us. He went stiff, like someone hit the pause button on his spinal cord. I smiled, real soft, waved, and walked right past him. Jace leaned down and whispered, "So, this is the guy who used to call me Alpha Goals? I feel underdressed." I nearly choked, trying not to laugh. We spent the next 2 hours flambeing scallops, tossing salads, feeding each other bites like we were in a Hallmark movie sponsored by Vengeance. I didn't even look at Mark again. Didn't need to, because halfway through he walked out, apron half off, eyes red, fists clenched, and I just thought, funny how quick he folds without a headset to hide behind. When class ended, the instructor handed us a little takeaway box and said, "You two make a great team." Jace grinned and said, "Yeah, I think we're gonna cook up something real good. Y'all, I'm not done." The next day, the text started again. Not the "you're blowing this out of proportion" type. Number Mark had shifted tactics. This time, it was begging. "Tay, please talk to me. I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean any of it. I'm spiraling. I need you. I'll go to therapy. I'll delete Xbox, whatever you want." It was pathetic. And a little terrifying. Because Mark wasn't just ashamed. He was unraveling. That night, I came home to find a trail of Post-it notes leading from the front door to the kitchen, like some deranged breadcrumb path of guilt. Each one had something scrawled on it in his handwriting. "I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve that. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm losing my mind without you." And in the kitchen, he was sitting on the floor, eyes bloodshot, a half-burnt grilled cheese on the counter behind him. "I tried to cook," he said, voice hoarse. "I thought it might fix something." He looked small, like a man trying to crawl back into the womb of our life. I didn't speak. I just walked past him to the bedroom, grabbed a bag, and started packing. He followed, stumbling through half-sobs. "Please, Taylor, don't do this. I messed up, but I can change. I will change. Just give me another chance." I zipped the bag. "You didn't mess up, Mark. You revealed yourself. There's a difference." Then I left. I didn't slam the door. I didn't yell. I just walked out with my dignity in one hand and a week's worth of clothes in the other. I crashed at a friend's place. Lila, the kind of friend who shows up with snacks, wine, and a bat labeled "just in case." We sat on our couch that night watching bad reality TV while my phone buzzed endlessly on the coffee table. Every few minutes. Another call, another voicemail, another desperate plea. Then it stopped. For 3 days, silence. Until the storm hit. Because when men like Mark feel their grip slipping, they don't let go quietly. They start tearing through whatever's left. And by day 4, he'd moved on to full-blown emotional terrorism. He posted a long, vague Instagram story. Just black background, white text. Crazy how someone can act like the victim when they've been cruel for years. And suddenly my DMs were full of his mutuals asking if I was okay, if the rumors were true, if I'd really been emotionally manipulative. He told people I'd been cheating with Jace the whole time. Said I orchestrated the whole cooking class thing just to humiliate him in public. Even said, get this, that I weaponized my weight for sympathy. Like my body was strategic. Like it was a PR stunt. He was spiraling out and dragging me with him. But I wasn't scared, because I was already working on something else. See, Mark has a very public Reddit profile, and some very interesting post history, especially the thread from 6 months ago where he ranted about how women who gain weight after moving in are breaking the contract, or the comment he left under a fitness meme. If she wanted to be respected, she'd put the fork down. He never used my name. But the timing, the language, the phrasing, all too familiar. And I was compiling every word. I stayed quiet for one more week. Let him spin, let him lie, let him flood social media with his little sob story. He wanted people to think I was unstable, bitter, a cheater. Cool, let's play. Because while he was performing emotional kabuki on Instagram, I was in contact with someone much more familiar with Mark's true self, his ex, Vanessa. We'd never met in person. I only knew her name because I saw it once on an old Amazon account we shared. He'd ordered a PS4 controller and forgot to change the default shipping. I remember asking, "Who's Vanessa?" and him laughing it off. Old college thing. Didn't end well. He wasn't lying. It didn't end well, because when I messaged her, just a simple, "Hey, I know this is random, but I think we dated the same guy," her reply was instant. "Mark? Holy shit. Are you okay?" Turns out she'd dated him for 2 years, gained some weight during graduate school. And guess what? Same jokes, same digs, same mask that slowly slipped until he was comparing her body to a melted candle when he thought she couldn't hear. "He made me feel like my body was a failing business," she wrote, "like I owed him profits for not abandoning me." We talked for hours. It was like unzipping a jacket made of gaslighting and finding someone else had worn the exact same one. She told me she'd always wanted to expose him but didn't want to look like a bitter ex. I told her I was way past bitter. I was building a funeral pyre, and on the 7th day, I posted it. Not just the clip of me calling him out, not just screenshots of his Reddit comments. I posted a carousel of his behavior, layered out like a museum exhibit of misogyny. Screenshots, dated text messages, voice clips, his Reddit username, even a side-by-side of one of his memes next to a photo of me in a swimsuit, captioned, "This is who he said broke the contract." I didn't use his full name, didn't need to. Everyone who needed to know knew. The post spread, not viral but local viral. Coworkers saw it. His cousin commented, "WTF man. A girl from our gym DM'd me. He told me you were depressed and controlling. I'm so sorry, I had no idea." Even the cooking class instructor commented, "You and your new guest were delightful. We do not tolerate emotional abuse in our kitchen." And Mark, he lost his entire mind. I got 5 voicemails in a row, ending with the sound of something glass breaking and him yelling in the background. He started messaging Jace, threatening him, saying things like, "You don't know what she's really like, and you're next." Then, because emotional terrorists always escalate, he showed up outside Lila's apartment, pounding on the door, shirt half-buttoned, screaming my name. I didn't answer. Lila called the cops, and as they led him away, handcuffed, still shouting, I finally opened the window and looked down. He saw me, and in that moment I swear he realized this was never about revenge. This was about reckoning, and his was just beginning. Update 2. Okay, so, remember how some of y'all joked he's gonna end up crying in his mom's basement with a banned Reddit account and a restraining order? Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Let's get into it. First, huge thank you. The comments, the DMs, the people who said, "Drop the receipts and let that man combust." You carried me. I've never felt more seen, more validated, or more unhinged in a sisterhood way. And to the person who said, "You are vengeance, you are the night, you are petty Batman," I will be getting that tattooed on my soul. So, after Mark got arrested for the little pop-up tantrum outside Lila's place, he spent the night in holding. Not for anything serious, just disorderly conduct, but enough that his boss, yes, the one who followed me back after the cooking class post blew up, found out. Guess who's now on probation at his job pending behavioral assessment and media review? That's corporate speak for, we saw the screenshots, and now HR is scared. But here's where it gets beautiful. Apparently, Reddit did catch wind of his post history. Or maybe someone reported him. Either way, his account, where he'd been leaving rage comments under posts about low-effort women and body betrayal, got nuked. Entire profile gone. Just a blank space where Future Tech King used to be. He tried to message me through a burner Instagram account called Forgiveness, Please 87. It had no profile picture. He sent 3 messages, "Please don't destroy my life over this. You're blowing everything out of proportion. You were never skinny, but I never cared until you did. Y'all. He said that, like that was supposed to be the olive branch, like that was flattering. I didn't reply. I sent a screenshot to his mom. Why? Because during our 5 years, this woman once told me, "You're the best thing that ever happened to my son. You make him better." I just captioned it. "Thought you should see what better looks like now." She replied an hour later with, "I'm so sorry, I had no idea, I'm ashamed of him." Then she unfollowed him. On everything. Petty? Maybe. Delicious? Absolutely. And Jace? Jace has been everything. He didn't ask questions, didn't act territorial. He just showed up at my door the day after the second post dropped with Chinese takeout, 3 rom-com DVDs and a simple, "Tell me where it hurts. We're not rushing anything." No labels, no promises. But when he looked at me the other night and said, "I hope you know you were never the problem," he just couldn't handle the fact that you were full and he was empty. I felt something in me start to heal. Mark broke the contract? Good, because I've been rewriting the terms, and they look nothing like him anymore. The apartment was mine again. His stuff was gone. Finally, after weeks of begging, crying, threats, and that final attempt at intimidation, Mark had officially moved out. Well, not so much moved out as dragged out by his brother after I threatened legal action. Apparently, the concept of consequences still confused him. But once he realized I was serious, like lawyers and leases serious, he folded. He left behind one sock, always one, a cracked Xbox controller, and a half-empty bottle of that cologne he used to overuse before job interviews. The apartment smelled like ghosted masculinity and protein powder for 2 days. I lit a cinnamon candle and opened all the windows. That night, I sat on the couch, blanket over my legs, silence all around me. And for the first time in what felt like years, I felt safe. Not just physically, emotionally. No more walking on eggshells. No more pretending his jokes didn't cut. No more folding myself into a shape small enough for him to love. I was tired and free. And then, because the universe has a twisted sense of humor, I got a text from his mom. "Taylor, I know you're probably not ready to talk, but I want you to know I believe you. If there's anything you need, anything at all, please don't hesitate." I stared at it for a full 5 minutes, because this was the woman who used to text me birthday coupons and call me such a sweetheart while secretly slipping Mark's favorite recipes into my inbox, who once told me to be patient when he forgot our anniversary because boys get distracted, who coddled him like he was a misunderstood genius instead of a manipulative little coward. But now, she was offering me the apology. Not him, me. I didn't reply, because she wasn't my problem anymore either. Jace came over later that night, brought ice cream and a battered deck of cards, said he'd teach me how to play poker properly this time, without someone explaining the rules like I was a child. I laughed so hard I snorted, and somewhere between a losing hand and a kiss that tasted like peanut butter ripple, I realized I'd finally started to believe him. Believe that I wasn't the problem. Believe that maybe someone could touch my waist without thinking about their friends' jokes later. Believe that I could rebuild. But the best part was the call I got the next morning from the cooking class instructor. Apparently, they're launching a Spotlight Couples blog to highlight duos who brought unexpected joy and chemistry to their events. She wanted to feature me and Jace. Just a fun profile. A little story, a few photos, maybe a quote or two. I said yes. Because why not let the world see what happens when the woman they called too much finally gave her love to someone who didn't treat it like an inconvenience? Mark mocked me for cooking. Now I was being celebrated for it. That irony tasted better than anything I ever made for him. A month later, I stood in my kitchen, whisking together olive oil and lemon zest while Jace danced barefoot behind me to some 90s R&B song that was absolutely not meant to be danced to. And I thought, this is the life I was told I didn't deserve. There was no tension in the air, no offhand comments about calories or portion sizes, no hiding snacks behind the toaster so I wouldn't hear a sigh when I opened a bag of chips, no silent wars about my body or my worth, just music, just warmth, just someone who saw me and never made me small. The blog post came out that week. It wasn't flashy, but it was real. A photo of Jace laughing as he tried and failed to flip a crepe. One of me with flour on my nose, mid-sass. And the quote they chose? "We're not perfect cooks, but we've both learned how to treat something tender, gently." That line made me cry. Not ugly cry. Clean cry. The kind that scrubs something out of your soul and leaves the floor sparkling. But Mark wasn't done. Because of course he wasn't. I got an email from a burner account. The subject line just said, "Closure?" Inside was a PDF, a 5-page letter titled, "What I Wish I'd Said." It started with, "Taylor, you were never the enemy. I was fighting my own self-hatred and took it out on you." And it ended with, "I'll always love you. I hope Jace knows what he has." And in between, every excuse, every deflection, every, "I didn't mean it like that," and "it came out wrong," and "you were gaining weight," and "I didn't know how to bring it up." He called it honesty. I called it a last-ditch salvage operation. I didn't reply. I didn't forward it. I didn't even finish it. I printed it, folded it, lit it on the stove burner, and as it curled into ash, I finally let him go. Not the angry version, not the sobbing, broken one either. Just the ghost of a man who never loved me the way I deserved. He can sit in that silence now. Me? I'm going to brunch with Jace. Then we're going to that new cooking store that smells like heaven and sells tiny jars of overpriced saffron. I'm buying 2. One for us to use, and one to remind me. The woman they laughed at is the one who walked away fed, full, and free.